Moo.
Hello, my little Liebfrau Milches. Welcome to the Monday edition of Moohead Radio. I am your wounded host, a big and furry bovine. Been a little bit difficult for a cow here. I'm going to make this a pretty quick show because I'm a little bit under the weather due to some upper back and lower neck injuries. So this is an ongoing battle I fight. So that really fell apart on the tennis court yesterday, and boy, not a pretty sight. So I've been icing all day, and you can see I have one behind me right now on my back, and I'm doing the very best that I can. Hello to the people who are on the panel. We have the usual cast of characters and the others who generally either show up late or don't show up at all. I'd like to tell you that this is anything other than a quiet Monday, so I suppose I can start out the show by saying, oh, wait a minute. Did I not start the stream? No, I started the stream. All right, just making sure I did that. But Brian was in there saying, "Where is everybody?" And it's like, it's because you're there. No, I'm kidding. I'm just having fun at your expense. Stipe Miocic says it was a big weekend for me. My God, he knocked Daniel Cormier into the next century. That was a hell of a fight. If you didn't see it, 4 rounds of fury, and both men gave and both men took, and finally, shots to the body. We talk about it all the time in boxing. Repeated left hooks to the body. Stipe figured it out, which I was amazed he did for earlier. Oh, that was really good, Bronk. That was quite interesting. Anything for attention.
For your next trick, I'll need a volunteer.
But left hooks to the body against a 40-year-old man who had a protruding belly would be a good idea. And he finally figured it out, and so it went. And that dropped Cormier's hands for the fatal assault at the end of round 4, which basically quickly stopped the fight. And a shocked world realized that another title was going to Cleveland. I know. It must disappoint so many people, especially when you're the Los Angeles Lakers and you're actually looking at Dwight Howard and Joakim Noah. If you haven't reached the low point yet, Laker fans, it's a happening. It's a happening. Believe me, you're going to end up with Bill Masterson as a backup forward. I just signed a deal with the Lakers, I think. I think that's their name. They're from Minneapolis, is that right? I remember all the way back when I was I was still old, come to think of it. 1954, do you remember the Minneapolis Lakers? And who was their star player, Rick?
George Mikan.
George Mikan is the correct answer. Good for you. And you know something? You should be ashamed of yourself because that puts you in my generation.
But we're talking about it.
People try to put us down, talking about my generation. Talking about my generation. Okay. Enough of Bill Masterson. You'll get back. We'll be hearing more from him later, like 100 years from now. He never fucking dies. He never dies. Little Timmy never ages. And
did somebody bring up my name? Hey, Roxanne, how you doing? My gosh, you must have used serious tooth whiteners. Either that or it's just the contrast in the lighting on your camera.
Go to timeout, Timmy.
I tell you, that's one thing about Roxanne. Whenever I want to see if she's there, I just yell out, "Smile," and I'll see her. Even in a dark room.
Okay. So he never gets older. Bill Masterson never gets younger, and neither of them ever die except when I die. And that's the horrible truth of the situation. With the exception of Stipe, it would appear that, I am looking at this and having all kinds of fun because it's not letting me shrink the screen like it did. There it is. All right. You have to go the other way with it. Whatever works. Here's what we have on the show for you today. And no, it's not more Bill Masterson and Timmy Bartholow.
Thank God.
COD. It's thank COD. We make no religious allusions on this program. It's a goddamn fish. Thank COD Almighty. All right. That way nobody will get upset with me. All these Republicans won't get upset with me. Oh, I would be remiss if I didn't say asshole Donald Trump is now mad at Fox News because they actually conducted a poll that showed his popularity dwindling to 43%. Now, the thing that's funny is the polls show him losing to all the Democratic contenders, and it's not going to happen. All right. The question is, why does it bother the little penis Donald? Why does it bother him so much? I mean, there's no way Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders are going to beat him in a general election. It's not going to happen. A sitting president is not going to lose to those names. So why does he get upset? He says Fox News is changing. Well, why don't you change the channel, you orange-haired fuck? I'm tired of the guy. It's like you become an instant enemy of Donald Trump, even if you run a poll. And one poll can mean nothing. In the world of politics, one fucking poll means nothing. Actually, one poll means really one stupid person in the room. I'm just proving that I can be rude about all ethnicities at any poll, Rick. Poll. Forget it.
Got it.
Okay. So just making sure you were catching on to what I was doing there.
I was seeing the drift. I saw the drift coming. So,
how slow a day was it at Cleveland Browns training camp?
How slow was it?
They mic'd up Larry Ogunjobi. I mean, what does he have to say? Well, I'm really looking forward to CTE later in life. What does he get? Why are they miking players up? I don't understand that. And he actually rushed a quarterback once, and Baker Mayfield sidestepped him and threw a bomb to Jarvis Landry for a touchdown. But it doesn't matter. That's how Larry Ogunjobi, that's how slow a day it was at practice. A guy actually bull rushed somebody. I mean, Mary Kay Cabbagehead's nipples didn't even get hard. Wow. I mean, nothing happened at practice whatsoever. Nothing. Here are some more observations defensively in this glorious practice. Jannard Avery made a nice run stop during a team period late in practice. And on one of those Ogunjobi quarterback pressures where he didn't actually get to the quarterback, Avery earned a double team.
Wow.
Now he's out playing with the third string, but hey. Anthony Zettel continues to earn time in place of Myles Garrett, who is the great player, because Anthony Zettel, if he gets injured, nobody will care about. Because with Chad Thomas out as well, Zettel is getting his opportunity to get brain damage earlier. And the only other thing that they could find to say is that Terrence Mitchell is still working at the cornerback position with the first team, and that he being leaned toward as the opening week starter. Can you say what happened to Greedy Williams?
What happened to Greedy Williams?
I don't know. Why is Terrence Mitchell working out at the first team cornerback position? I don't know. If I knew, I would tell you. But I don't know, so I can't. But not that it means anything, because they're just looking for something to bring up. They should go to Taco Bell, have lunch. They can bring that up a lot easier and faster.
Bring it out.
Just remember, it comes out one end or the other. And I think most of us know what end it comes out most often. especially if you use that horrible hot sauce. What in the fuck is that taco sauce?
Santan gum, I think.
I thought it was like Martian jizz. I mean, what the fuck is that? I mean, it's like, God, make it stop. Here's everything that Freddie Kitchens said at his press conference today.
We're going to compete. And I like guys who compete.
You know something? I just want to say this. I got myself a really good mobile home down in Alabama. And if I need to get away from all of this nonsense, I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. Now, and the reason I emphasize I can do that is I'm a positive man. Now, let me tell you what's going on with my Cleveland Browns. I got two kickers. You see how I'm emphasizing? I don't have one kicker. I don't have anybody. I got two amputees. And you know something? It's not their arms that were removed. Goodness gracious. I'm getting asked all kinds of questions. Does it matter? See, I'm emphasizing again, how long the missed field goals were. Why in the hell would it matter? 51 yards or 37 yards, Austin Siebert can't hit the broadside of a barn. And I've seen a lot of broadsides of barns. And I've seen a lot of barn-sized broads. But that's another story altogether. I'm making this up as I go along. Can you tell?
I just want him to go through the yellow posts, man. He said that about 5 times. I just want him to go through the yellow posts. Yeah,
the yellow post, it sounds like the Chinese postal service. You know, it's like, no. Oh, let's make this. Sure. I'm going to offend every ethnicity before the end of this program because I don't feel well. All right. It's going to be that kind of show, folks. So if you're sensitive, no. Guess whose turn is yet to come? I know. At any rate. Yeah. And I felt badly. When they outed Martin Luther King, you know, for having affairs with white women. That I thought that was, you know, and the FBI guy, you know, J. Edgar Hoover. Yeah. I mean, making tapes, having tape recorders under the bed when Martin Luther King was in bed with white women. That's true story.
He watched those late at night, too.
There is this silence from Roxanne. You could hear a pin drop. She's waiting for something terrible to come out of my mouth. Well, look, he had a wet dream, too. What can I tell you? The man had many dreams. So just back off. All right. They asked Freddie Kitchens, does the NFL still need 4 preseason games? That's over my pay scale. It does not matter to me because I ain't going to get the brain damage. My job is to go with what we have, to make the most of what we have, to get something out we have, and what we have. He's sounding more and more like Elvis in between songs.
He sounds like Bill Clinton, actually, to be honest.
Yeah. Really? I thought it was like Larry the Cable Guy, but actually his actual accent.
Well, he looks like him. Why not sound like him?
He's like 20 years younger than the Cable Guy.
Yeah.
See, if it's amazing to me, on incorporating several new players with the Browns. I mean, this is his job. Why are you asking him about this? In today's NFL, you always have new parts. Of course, if you don't have a good season, you're going to have more new parts than you don't. You see, that's like a mathematical equation. You suck, you get more new players because you fire the old players. I mean, it's like, this is what I'm sitting around reading this Monday, folks. I mean, is this a do or die week for the kicking competition? It's like, die. What kind of a question is that?
Kicker we want is not on the roster right now.
A kicker is not on the roster. And, I'm having a goddamn Google argument with what's his name from Canton, Ohio? What's his name? The guy who's one of our panelists sometimes.
Amsterdam?
Why can't I think of his name? Oh, well,
Philip
neither can you. That's how big of an impression he's made of Philip Slauson. I'm sorry. Philip keeps writing me and saying, why don't they just make Gillen the field goal kicker? And it's like, Gillen can't even be the punter. It's like,
He doesn't even know how much a field goal is worth on the scoreboard. He's Scottish, for God's sakes. For God's sakes.
They, Scottish, Australian, just rules football. To Philip, it's like, and he's coming up with these explanations like, well, he did kick field goals at Arkansas Pine Bluff, and he obviously was not good enough at it that he even figured that he would try out as a kicker, but as a punter. He does have a big leg, but I can imagine that, and Philip saying, he made 64-yard field goals in college. And it's like,
wow. Good. Are we playing any of our games at that college where he knows how to kick?
Or where they can make up stories? I mean,
Who was their opponents? Arkansas Whitewater? I mean, who did they play?
No, that was Clinton. He was the punter there. Wide right.
No.
They can teach the punter how to kick, 30-yard coffin corner kicks.
Exactly.
Both of these guys were 4 of 6 in practice, and Siebert is the best. He missed a 37-yarder. He missed a 40-yarder. It doesn't matter where it is on the field. He's done. All right. Wasted 5th-round pick. He's done because psychologically he's blown away. And I don't want to go through this shit. I've seen this happen too many times with kickers. The guy's lost his confidence. And if he can't make a 37-yard field goal or a 50-yard field goal for a team that's going to allegedly vie for the playoffs, then we shouldn't even be trying him out. Get somebody else in here. And the Minnesota Vikings are thinking about promoting Vedvik as their field goal kicker, and Bryant, is he their former kicker? Bring him in. If they make a decision and move Vedvik up in Minnesota, then bring him in, because Austin Siebert, and Greg Joseph are the dynamic duo of ineptitude. And like Bronk said about field goal kickers missing 2 out of their 6 field goal attempts. Like I said, I want the ball to go through and not outside those yellow poles. How many times do I have to tell you? Now, I want to make sure that people don't mistake me for that cow guy on the podcast. Yellow poles are not Chinese Polish people, okay?
It's ironic that we need a kicker located on Lou Groza Boulevard.
It's like, if there is a special caveat for attempts of 50-plus yards. Yeah, there is. We're not going to allow either of them to kick them because they never make them. It's like, why am I listening to this? And who does he quote? I'll tell you a story about former Alabama head coach, funniest guy I ever knew, Gene Stallings.
The king of comedy.
What a sense of humor Gene had.
He left it rolling in the aisles. Yeah.
Now, I knew Rick would get off on that, He used to tell me all the time when I step up into the pocket and I throw the ball, he wants to be able to close his eyes and know that it's made and it's completed, and that's all I'm asking for. I want to be able to send them out there, turn around, and go talk to the offense and hear about the made field goal. Yeah, but it's not happening 33% of the time. Has there been a repetitive problem in these missed field goals? They're not going through the yellow poles. That's something that I see in common with all of them. It's like pretty soon it's going to end up like Forrest Gump, folks. And that's all I got to say about I don't even want to go there.
Baker and those boys are going to be out there on 4th down. That's what's going to happen. They're going to have to go for it on every down.
Yeah, it's gonna be an extended red zone.
Right. And it's always going to be 2-point conversions. Ain't gonna be no 35-yard PAT. That's out of their range.
Yeah. I mean, it's and is part of the problem because there are not many kickers who are unsigned and available?
Oh, there's bad kickers out there in some of these other
there's
games.
plenty of them. We might be able to still get that one from Chicago last year.
Now, here is what I call the kiss of death. All right.
Uh-oh.
The kiss of death is always the same. It is what I call the false endorsement. It happens all the time in politics. If Donald Trump gives you, an endorsement, you're fired next week.
The vote of confidence.
That's it. Here's Freddie. We're not trying to bring in a new kicker right now.
Back the truck up, Aussie.
Yeah, you're all going home.
Yeah.
Every last one of
Bring
you.
your playbook.
Yeah. On tight end, Seth DeValve returning to practice. Yeah, I saw him out there today. The Seth DeValve sighting.
Boy, nothing gets by him, does it?
No, man, he is just really on top of things,
Loosen that hat a little bit, Freddie. It's starting to get a little tight.
My expectations for him to pick up where he left off and keep getting better. If I hear that one more time. On tight end, Demetrius Harris's best attributes. His size, his range, his toughness, his ability to block the point, still give us something in the pass game. That's in other words, well, he's big and he's tough, can't catch for shit. And we've seen that on display so far in the preseason. And
He got a holding penalty in that game the other night, and let in a pass blitzer as well too at the same time. So he had a horrible first half when he played.
And then here's a great question by the press on Mayfield's ability to escape the pass rush. And if that helps the Browns have confidence in how the offensive line will perform this year. Now, what kind of question is that? If he's escaping a pass rush, they're not doing their job. So can we move on to the next question, please? So here's Freddie's answer. I do not know how to answer that because that's kind of like a yellow pole question. A stupid Chinaman. But whatever direction our team goes or our offense goes, I think we need to be able to adapt. Go back to the adaptation speech.
You're giving him too many adverbs there, and it just threw him off.
All the things you can ask about in practice. Was Jalen Strong out of bounds, or did he lose possession of the football on the ground on the last play of practice? What does it matter? It was incomplete. Did the Browns offense do push-ups at the end of practice due to him not completing the catch? It's like, no, it's because it was 4th and 5 from the 5, and they either stop us or we get it. We didn't get it, so the offense did the push-ups. If we'd have gotten it, the defense. My God, the press has nothing to ask here. What does Ratley need to show during the next couple of weeks after returning from an injury?
That he's healthy?
He's still alive.
Yeah, my God.
Hold a mirror up to his mouth. That should clue you in.
You know, the thing is about this horrible Cleveland media that's very inept and mediocre is that once the Browns actually start winning and make the playoffs and maybe end up being a perennial powerhouse, we'll start getting better media to follow them. There'll be proper writers that'll want to follow them and cover them.
Well, listen to this fucking show. There's nothing to say. Nothing happened in that game that was even worth talking about, Now we're down to talking about why Drew Stanton is such a smart guy. And it's like, he's a smart guy who can't run anymore, who's got an underpowered arm, who is way long in the tooth, and he should not be a backup quarterback for a team with playoff aspirations. But instead, we're getting the how smart he is speech. And you know what that is, Roxanne?
What is it?
That's the girl who has a great personality. What does that mean, Roxanne?
I mean, she ugly.
There you go. That's the bottom. And she even ethnicized her answer. Good for you.
Being the second string quarterback on an NFL team is a lot like being vice president of the United States. You do fuck all in case you're really needed.
Yeah. But you're going to be needed, chances are, during the course of the season. You're going to be needed, and that's the problem because he can't handle that. And the truth, you can't handle the truth. I don't really believe that Drew Stanton would hold up at all. I think he would be throwing so many picks that it would be, I mean, it would be obvious that he couldn't get the ball to the wideout, so he'd turn into a dump off offense. I really have no confidence in that guy. And the fact that they're not even playing him during the course of the preseason makes me even more nervous about it. I mean,
Yeah, they don't want to give any tape out there to let them know how shitty he is.
why are they giving like Garrett Gilbert and David Blau so much play? And, you know, and the reason is because Stanton's 413 years old and one good hit and he's gone. And, you know, but what does that get us? This could shape up as one of those years, theoretically, where you have to go to your third string quarterback. They're going to have no choice but to carry 3 quarterbacks on this roster. I mean, because with Drew Stanton at number 2, if he has to go in, he's not going to last for long. One whiff by an offensive lineman. He's held together by Scotch tape, folks.
One McCown helicopter hit and he's dead.
Yeah. Yeah. They gave him an iPad. He probably looked at it like a dog that's been shown a card trick.
Here's a headline you'll all love. Patriots place Josh Gordon on non-football injury list.
He was stoned.
I wish he were. You know, why Jesus and why not Josh? You know, it makes, I told you, I would offend everybody by the time this program was over. And no, Jesus didn't get stoned that way. So don't take it wrong. He was literally stoned. All right. Basically, what they're saying is he's not in any kind of condition to play because the most shocked man in the world that he was reinstated was Josh Gordon.
I'm what?
Yeah, what the fuck? They didn't even give me a chance to smoke weed, and they put me back into this shit, you know. You want to know what the funniest thing that I have ever heard in my life?
What's the funniest thing you've ever heard in your life?
What is it?
This takes the cake. How old is Josh Gordon? We'll see how smart you guys are.
27.
29.
I'll say 28.
He's 30.
30. Wow.
Wow, do you want to know what the funnier part of it is? He's still on his rookie contract. You know what that's like? That's like being an adult and you're says, "Oh yeah, I've been riding a bike for years," and you still got training wheels on it. I mean, come on.
That's like going to the senior prom at age 40. What the hell? Oh my God.
Still on his rookie contract because he's perpetually wasted. And that's the last you'll hear about him because I fucking hate his guts and I hope he gets hurt. Now, one guy who did get hurt was Corey Kluber. The Klubot is not a bot anymore. He is a mortal. And one inning at AAA, and believe me, one inning in AAA in Columbus is bad enough, okay?
Oh, God, yeah.
Ask Jim Hammer.
It is.
One night in Bangkok and one inning in Columbus. But he left after one inning with left abdominal tightness. Now, this is something you have to be worried about. And the reason is not like, oh my God, you know, what's going on with his abdomen, because he is going to get possibly an MRI to look at that very thing. The real scary thing is Dizzy Dean. And we'll go to Bronk. Do you know what my Dizzy Dean reference is?
Well, I saw the movie, but I'm trying to remember.
They never in the movie said a damn thing about it.
He didn't, did that?
Rick, you're a baseball fan. Do you remember the Dizzy Dean story?
Trying to. Did he? I kept thinking he was running. He was trying to stop a double play and running from first to second. He got in the way. He was trying to get in the way of the ball or something like that. But I'm not sure where Kluber's problem would come into play here.
I can tell you. Dizzy Dean was a great pitcher who hurt his foot. But because he adapted the wrong way to a foot injury, it altered his mechanics and destroyed his arm. Here you have a guy with a broken arm and a guy who is meticulous about his mechanics, but now as a compensation coming back, you have an abdominal issue arise. Here's the worst part of the story, folks. And there is a worst part, and we've already seen it with Danny Salazar, and we're seeing it again. He only hit 89 on the gun in the one inning he pitched, and we have seen Corey Kluber's velocity diminish rapidly in the last 2 to 3 years. From 95 top end and a sharp slider down to 91, 92, and a vast majority of pitches being cutters. And now this. So if you were hoping to see Corey Kluber anytime soon,
Don't plan on it.
not a happening. All right. It's just a bad situation. And abdominal, if there is an abdominal muscle strain, you might as well sit him for the rest of the year. He's gone. Because abdominals do not, it's like, what is it for hitters, Rick? What is the devastating designated hitter injury? The dreaded
Oblique strain.
That is correct, Bronk, the oblique. Because that sucker don't heal, lousy blood flow, and you have to have it to swing, and you can't do anything. You have to be mummified when you get the injury. So
It hurts too, man.
oh, yeah, you bet it hurts. But really bad news as far as that's concerned, too. And in case you didn't hear the news, headline, Freddie Kitchens on Greg Joseph and Austin Siebert, we're not looking to replace them right now. Okay. I just thought I would remind you.
Oh, well, the things are okay then. All right.
Right now.
Till Friday night.
You're saying, what could there possibly be less significant to talk about? Well, here you go. This is the depth chart report. You got nothing to write, so you write about Dorian Baker.
Jeez. So how about Gary Hassel?
I thought Dorian Baker, wasn't there like a portrait of him and his?
Yeah, it kept on getting older and older.
Yeah, I thought that. Yeah, it was a strange.
Aging disgracefully, yes.
Yeah. All because OBJ and Ishmael Hyman sitting out practice. Baker got reps with the second team on 7-on-7s. It's like, are you writing about this really? He's caught 2 of 5 passes thrown his way this preseason. Then why are we talking about him?
It's like these reporters were given a homework assignment, but they have nothing to write about, so they figure they're gonna have to write about something. God damn it! Just put
Make it up as they go.
If you want to find out who's on the practice squad early, I'm going to give you a hint. This was the first practice the Browns have used to scout team in open practices. David Blau was the scout team quarterback. Bye. With Damon Sheehy Giuseppe playing the role of former Browns receiver Brashad Perryman. Bye.
Yeah, he's scout team.
And running back A.J. Ouellette ran Mike Evans routes. And I thought Mike Evans was really funny on All in the Family, but running routes, I don't know. So bye to A.J. Ouellette as well. All right. So I believe that Garrett Gilbert's going to make this team.
Yeah.
I believe that he is going to be the guy who's going to wind up on the field. I have a sick feeling.
Well, hopefully not. If Baker,
I don't want to see him. I don't want to see him. I don't want to see Drew Stanton.
He'll run out on the field with his damn clipboard. He'll forget to leave it there.
David Njoku sat out team periods because of stitches in the back of his head. And DJ Montgomery was excused from practice, but they didn't say why. But they said that it was with the team's blessing. So it wasn't that he just decided not to show up or anything like that.
Brian said it was because of family issues.
But there is still a problem with the Raiders. It wouldn't be Hard Cocks Knocks, Big Knockers on HBO if it weren't for the Oakland Raiders and their ridiculous Antonio Brown helmet saga. What would be worse than that? Well, it would be a general manager stepping into the fray and basically saying, we're giving you an ultimatum. Either you're all in or you're all out. I mean, does anybody really think that the Raiders are just going to kick his ass out the door?
Yeah, right.
You know, and the fact is that these guys don't want to play preseason. They don't. That's why so many of them miss. Because when you're in a position that you're, you know, and when you're basically freezing your own feet off in a cryo chamber, I mean, you know, you're not going to play. It's, if Brown were to hold firm, the Raiders could release or trade him, you know?
Who's going to trade him? Who's going to give them anything of value?
No, it's who will give them nothing, and that would be the Patriots, so they don't have to worry about Josh Gordon.
Exactly, yeah.
We already know how this works.
Hmm.
Yeah, they could swap Josh Gordon for him with the Raiders. That would be a really good deal.
Mr. Ferguson, the chat room is asking, did the Raiders shell out the money for Ab yet for the contract?
No.
No.
He is not owed. He's only owed $1 million if he does not play for the Raiders. If he plays one down, he'll get the $30 million guaranteed.
There you have it. A guy won't put on his helmet. And, you know, this is ridiculous. It's another example of, and you know something? It's a clown show with the Raiders. It's been a clown show since Huey Jackson was there.
It will calm down when they go to Vegas. Don't worry.
I mean, and did anybody really think that John Gruden was going to turn things around in Oakland?
Well, he's hilarious on that program. They should really rename it the John Gruden Show. He is funnier than hell. Yeah,
I think it'd be funny if we swap media, have the Cleveland media go to Oakland during Hard Knocks. Can't you see Gruden and Mary Kay? That'd be a whole episode right there.
I could actually see that happening.
Yeah.
I think bringing a guy back like that, you know, who's been away from the game for too long, there's too many schemes, there's too many new things. And, you know, every so often you can bring back an old guy like Dick Vermeil, right? And it can work. But more often than not, with the advent of the modern game, a guy like Chucky doesn't fit the mold. And the Raiders went for a name. And it's publicity, it's not serious. And if you don't provide him with players and, you know, if basically, you know, you did nothing at the quarterback position, Derek Carr is one hit away, you know, and no one's even sure if Derek Carr is really Derek Carr. I mean, at this point, nobody knows how good he is, or there are questions. It's kind of like Dak Prescott. It's like after a while, it's like Cam Newton. After a while, you begin to wonder with quarterbacks. It's like, how many seasons can we start out saying these guys are going to do this, and then they never do it? How many times does that have to happen? And like Dallas Cowboys to be non-contenders, how many more years does that have to happen before, you know, you start looking at changing important components of the team? And then I heard that Jones and Dallas said Zeke who and pissed off his agent. I mean, it's a goddamn joke down there too. Dallas, this proud organization, hasn't been shit for how long now? And just not serious. I don't know. If a receiver doesn't wear his helmet, refuses to, I don't know. How do you deal with something that stupid? Because again, if you let him go, he gets what he wants because he'll be snapped up in a heartbeat. And that may be what this is all about. I don't know. It's a no-win scenario when a player gets in charge in a situation like this. We've seen it. It's happened to us. You know, player wants out. Player gets out. You know, once Duke Johnson shot his mouth off, you know, it's just a matter of time. That's what somebody wants. They'll leave. I wanted to remind everybody, if you didn't catch the beginning of the show, get this. Trump bashes Fox News before referring to the networks as we. Isn't it wonderful living in a fascist world? Isn't it? Where Trump refers to what is supposed to be an independent news network as we, part of the fascista. You know, what I would like to see is that helicopter come down where he'd give a briefing and for the goddamn propeller to cut his fucking head off so that he would die and bleed on the ground. Really, really. You know, the scary part, and I will remind you of this, that Ivana, not Ivanka, but Ivana, his former wife, who wouldn't be his wife now because she's aged and looks far too maternal. And that is a major criteria for the orange one. Do you know what one of his favorite books was when she was married to him? Let's see if anyone knows the answer to this. And you can research this because it's widely publicized. At least it was. Nobody's talking shit now, except me.
Mein Kampf.
Very good. Mein Kampf. That's right. Not the Lewis Carroll version. No. This show is so literary.
First edition.
Alice, the Mein Kampf looking glass. No. And, you know, and it has nothing to do with killing Jews, folks. It has everything to do with how to make people rabid supporters. It's about the Hitler Youth. How did Hitler achieve a level of popularity in Germany to get to the point where he did the things that he did? And the answer is he used a certain measure of populism to get things done. And then his agenda, of course, radically changed. And you were an automatic enemy. But then again, that was true of Richard Nixon, too. He had an enemies list. But the Donald Trump enemies list is ever changing, depending on who said what in the last 10 minutes. Really a bizarre thing. And I feel badly for the people who feel they have to support him nonstop. And I'll continue badgering him on the air because, you know, I made up my mind. It's not about Trump. It is not about Donald Trump because he's just a guy who's formerly on a reality TV show who got some things figured out. And that's that people are stupid and they'll believe goddamn near anything. If you sell it to them right, if you put your name on steaks, nah, they don't taste better, but I had a Trump steak. What the fuck? But he figured it out. Marketing is the important thing. And that's what the Democrats don't have. They don't have any candidates that can market themselves. But he marketed himself. And people bought it. So if you find yourself defending him, just remember, you're a vegetable. You're not even a Trump steak. You're a Trump vegetable. You got nothing between your ears. You're not thinking. You know, go against him just once. I dare you. Knock this battery. Wait a minute. Do I have a battery? I'm gonna. Robert Conrad, I dare you. Knock this off my shoulder. No.
Wow, that's old school.
Old school. The worst part of it is I think it was a Rayovac commercial, wasn't it? The Rayovacs didn't even work.
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
Stand up. It's a battery, though.
I told you I would offend everybody by the end of this program. It is my want. It is my need. And if you didn't hear the great news, Laker rumors, Dwight Howard, Joakim Noah linked to the Lakers after Boogie Cousins' injury.
They're still alive. I mean, if we have to go talking about NBA news of old guys from 10 years ago,
but no,
bottom of the barrel now, haven't we?
it's like so LeBron, isn't it? It's so LeBron. It's like they always fill the roster with guys who can no longer play with a bunch of towel waivers. I mean, why don't they? What was the guy's name who we foisted on the Lakers? Timofey Mozgov. Why don't they bring Timofey Mozgov back to wave a fucking towel? He can participate about as well as any of these people. So they got Cousins. He's already dead and he's buried. Noah should have been buried long ago, back in the days of the Ark. And Dwight Howard, I mean, ever since PEDs were ruled out, his game has been gone.
If Noah throws a towel, probably throw his shoulder out. How old is he? 206?
And then, by the way, Anthony Davis got his 2 cents worth in. He's making sure, because, you know, it's like the Lakers currently have only JaVale McGee at center.
Yeah.
Yeah. And JaVale McGee was the main topic of Shaqtin' a Fool over the years, all right? So people have forgotten just how bad he is when he played with a really good team, but, you know, is right. But so they're thin at center, and Anthony Davis jumped in and said, I like playing the 4. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I like playing the 4. I don't like playing the 5. It's like, okay. Superstar number 2 has spoken. If you remember, LeBron said the same thing years ago in Cleveland. I don't play in the paint. If you're wondering about Dwight Howard, he's 33 years old, only 3 years older than Josh Gordon, but at least he's not still on his rookie contract. He appeared in just 9 games for the Wizards before having surgery to repair a glute injury. He always was a big ass. Averaging 12.8 points and 9.2 rebounds in 25 minutes, and he still can't shoot a fucking free throw. Noah's 34 years old and might as well be 43 years old. He actually played in Memphis last year, which is why you never heard his name spoken. You see, he was walking in Memphis with his feet 10 feet off a Beal. Yep. That's a Jewish songwriter Mark Cohn reference.
Yep.
So tell me, are you a Christian boy? And I said, no, you stupid bitch, we killed him. I'm walking in Memphis. Yeah, I never understood that. Told you I would offend everybody by the end of this program, which is now. Although I'm going to let my group of people, my panelists who are so dedicated, have one last say. Anything you want to say, anything. Jake, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I'm a big UFC fan. I don't know.
No, I just muted you. I told you I was going to offend everybody by the end of the program. No, go ahead, Jake. I'm just
but this actually did bother me. Dominic Cruz. Everyone knows DC's great friends with Dominic Cruz. They're teammates, actually, at AKA. And as DC was getting knocked out, he's like, "Oh, please no," announcing the fight. Did you hear that?
No, I didn't hear that.
Like as he was like hit with the liver shot and turned around, he's like, "Oh, please no! Oh, please no!" Like he clearly was rooting against Stipe in that fight.
Well, I got to be honest with you. Cormier is a big name, but at 40 and with a pooch around his midsection, I mean, you know, the fact is that if Cormier were in better shape, he'd have won the fight. I'll tell you that right now, because he hit Stipe often enough. And they said Stipe had a questionable jaw going into his chin was questionable going into the fight. That was the weakness on him. He took everything that Cormier had, which tells me there wasn't as much force behind Cormier's blows as in the past. And he landed enough punches to take Stipe out. But you could see that after the second round of that fight, that Cormier was running on gas fumes. He was only fighting in limited, moments of the fight. He was throwing isolated right hands. Some of them were landing pretty cleanly, but he was getting winged with left hooks to the body. And that is what did him in.
And in the UFC specifically, you don't see that much output for bigger guys. It's always 155, 170 type fights where you see that. They were throwing like it was a lightweight fight.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of punches exchanged and taken. Stipe was in better condition. And sometimes all sports of battle are last man standing. So, but that's funny that the announcer would do that. Nothing quite like,
Well, the UFC always has one fighter calling the fight, and everyone likes DC, and they always have that staff of ESPN guys, and DC is close with the announcers because he works with them. So it's just a weird bias they've always had.
Yeah. Roxanne, you get to have your say. Anything. It can be about anything.
Have a great week, everyone. Happy Monday. I have nothing.
You and Whitney.
But I'm
Houston.
cheerful. That's true. Nothing.
Go ahead.
If I don't have
Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, it was better than titanium.
It was. Not by much.
Okay. Bronk, you're next.
I'll make a request here. I want to hear Peter Alice describe one of those third quarter or fourth quarter hitting with the crown of the helmet penalties that the Cleveland Browns must have had like 20 of them Saturday night. Like, oh, he's hit up again.
Oh.
Oh.
Intentionally ran out of bounds, and then he came back into the field of play and virtually disemboweled his opponent with the crown of his helmet. Oh, it's something that we can't stand for in this professional game. Oh. And the worst part of the story is that he could have endangered his own health. Hitting with his head first doesn't make him the sharpest knife in the drawer. Oh. That would be Peter Alice calling it.
It would be Peter Alice calling that play.
Right.
Absolutely.
And Rick?
Well, Friday night's game, Cleveland against Tampa Bay. I'm setting the mark at number of missed kicks by Cleveland as 2, and I'm taking the over.
Well, it's amazing how few kicks they've really tried. I mean, has Austin Siebert actually attempted a field goal in the preseason?
Just the one, I think, on Saturday.
Oh, and he missed it wide.
Yeah,
In the same exact way that Greg Joseph missed his 51-yarder.
yeah, he missed his left. So one was left, one was right.
Yeah,
Stick a ball together, and it might go through the middle.
yeah. But yeah, I'm going to find out if I can actually watch the game. I'm hoping to get a stream that will work. But then again, I have medication for that, so I'm just gonna yeah.
Yeah. What about
All right,
poor old
everybody.
David? You haven't said anything about poor old David Blatt,
I should.
You should. I mean, because we used to hear from him all the time, too. And now we don't hear nothing. Hello?
Was diagnosed with multiple, what I can tell you is it's an unfortunate thing. 60 years old, he really did never get any kind of a second chance in the NBA. Last 12 years in the Euro League, by his own account, he's having balance problems, dizziness, and all kinds of things, and weakness. And I feel badly about that for him. And, I'll say this about him. He and I politically don't agree at all. He's a hard right-wing, pro-Israeli nut. And as a head coach, he was rather pompous and overstated some of the things that he had done and accomplished. But at 60 years of age, or at any age, this disease, which has no cure, the only thing that we can hope is that it's a very slow-moving variant that will allow him to continue to do the job that he loves. And he's had success in Europe, and I wish him nothing but the best, because it's a real challenge, just a real challenge. So I feel badly about it. So, all right. I guess nothing quite like ending the show on a down note.
You need the Jerry Springer homily now.
No, I'm not. I'm done. Thanks, everybody, for tuning into this Monday edition, the snoozer edition of Moohead Radio. I hope that I've offended somebody. And if I haven't, okay, if there are some of you who said, geez, he said he was going to offend everybody out there, go fuck your mother. Okay, there you go. So now I've accomplished everything I wanted to say and do. And I'm sorry, I'm not feeling well today. I'm just not myself. Wait a minute, I got something in my eye. Be back again on Friday with a pregame show of a show I'm not even, or a game I'm not
even see.
Yeah. But I'll have all the pregame for you. No, I'll have a halftime.
We'll make it up as we go.
It'll be just like WKNR. You show all this pregame, but you can't show the game because of rights issues.
Yeah, well, I will try my best to get a stream on that. And but
like I said, Flomax,
that's exactly
right away.
Just open up the tubes a little bit.
Plenty of liquids.
We'll be back again Friday, one way or another. Until then, hasta la vista, pasture heads. Good night.